Hello students of class 11. Welcome back once again to your biology class. Today in our class we will study about the chapter of structural organization in animals. So before starting the chapter, you should know what do you mean by a tissue. What is a tissue? A tissue is a group of cells that are similar in origin, basic structure and functions. The extracellular or the intercellular materials which are secreted by the cells also form a part of the tissue. And the branch of biology which deals with the study of tissues is known as histology. So animal tissues can be classified into epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. Now we will discuss in details about each type of tissue, their function, their origin and their subparts. First we will know about the epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue, where does it arise? It arises from all the three germ layers. What are the three germ layers? Ectoderm, mesoderm and the endoderm. This epithelial tissue, it consists of cells which are closely packed with very little quantity of intercellular material to form continuous layer, and the cells rest on a non-cellular layer which is known as the basement membrane. And this epithelial tissue can be classified into simple and compound. Simple epithelium is the single layered epithelium and the compound epithelium is the multi-layered epithelial tissue. First we will know about the simple epithelial tissue. The simple epithelial tissue consists of a single layer of cells, and this single layer of cell directly rests on the basement membrane. And this simple epithelium, the cells are only of one type, and this simple epithelium is very efficient in absorption and secretion, but it is less efficient for the purpose of protection. And the simple epithelium can be classified into squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium and columnar epithelium. This simple epithelium, first we will discuss about the squamous epithelium. The squamous epithelium, what is this structure? This is a very thin layer of flattened cells, and the boundaries are intermittent or irregular. Where it is found? It is found in the wall of the blood vessels and also in the alveoli of the lungs. What is its function? It forms a diffusion boundary so that the materials, transportation of the materials takes place very easily by the membrane or by the process of diffusion. Next we will know about the cuboidal epithelium. This cuboidal epithelium, cuboidal, from this word you can understand that the cells are polygonal in outline in surface view, and these are cubical or cuboidal in the vertical sections. The cells of cuboidal epithelium is absorptive, basically it has absorptive functions, and it bears microvilli on the free surface. Such an epithelium is also known as brush bordered epithelium. Where this is found? This is present in the proximal convoluted tubule of the nephrons, smaller duct of the pancreas and salivary gland, in the thyroid follicles, in the ovary, in the seminiferous tubules, etc. Next, columnar epithelium. How it looks like? This is characterized basically by the presence of tall or elongated pillar-like cells that resemble polygonal columns. The outer free surface of the cell is slightly broader. You can see in this slide, and the nucleus is oval and is present at the base of the cell. Certain cells of columnar epithelium, they secrete mucus, and such cells are called the goblet cells. The columnar cells are provided with microvilli where absorption is the main function. Okay, and what is its location or where is it found? It is the columnar epithelium cells are found in the places where the absorption and secretion are the main functions, like the mucous membrane, which is present in the nasal cavities, stomach, and the intestine. And in the intestinal mucosa has brush bordered columnar epithelial cells to increase the surface area for absorption. Next, ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium consists of columnar or cuboidal cells that bear cells cilia on their free surface, and these cilia arise from the basal granules. What is its function? Is to propel the mucus particles and free cells in a specific direction over the epithelial surface. Where it is located? This is found in the fallopian tube, central canal of the spinal cord, ventricles of the brain, and also in the part of the nephrons. Next, the glandular epithelium. The glandular epithelium is composed of epithelial cells which are specialized for the purpose of secretion. Okay, and their secretion include the macromolecules which is synthesized by the epithelial cells, like proteins in the pancreatic secretion, lipids, steroid by the adrenal cortex. And the glandular epithelium or the glands, it can be classified on the basis of different criteria, on the basis of the number of the cells and on the basis of the site of the secretion. Based on this the pouring of the secretion, two types of glands I said. One is the exocrine gland, another is the endocrine gland. Now what are these exocrine glands? These exocrine glands, basically they have a very simple or branched duct system to discharge the secretion at the site of its action, like the salivary gland, tear gland. And endocrine glands do not have duct, and they pour their secretions directly into the bloodstream, which is to be carried to the site of action, which is known as the target organ, like the thyroid gland, pituitary gland, thymus gland. Okay, another type of gland is there which is known as the heterocrine gland. These heterocrine gland have both exocrine and endocrine in function. Okay, like whatever characteristics the exocrine gland and few characteristics from the endocrine gland are possessed by this type of heterocrine gland, like pancreas, testes, and ovary. Now we will know about the compound epithelium. The compound epithelium, normally they cover the surface where regular replacement of cells is necessary due to wear and tear of the cells. Now this compound epithelium helps in protection against the chemical and the mechanical stress. Where these are found? On the cover of the dry surface of the skin, moist surface of the buccal cavity, pharynx, inner lining of duct of salivary gland, and pancreatic duct. Basically, they play a limited role in the secretion and the absorption. Next, we will know about cell junction. The cell junctions, basically, these are the first you have to know what do you mean by cell junction. The adjacent cells of the epithelial tissue, these are held together by special structures which is known as the cell junction. The cell junction are of different types. First is the tight junction, second is the gap junction, third is the adhering junctions. Okay, so what are these tight junctions? The membrane of the adjacent cell, they become tightly pressed or fused together and check the leakage of the substances from one cell to the other. This is the tight junction. And what is the adhering junction? These are found where just below the tight junctions. These are found just below the tight junction, and the intercellular space at these points has a clear fluid, while the cytoplasmic side of the membrane have a very dense plug-like structure from where the actin microfilaments extend into the cytoplasm. This adhering junction help in cementing the cells together. Okay, and gap junction at the direct cytoplasm to cytoplasm connection between the adjacent cells through proteinaceous tubular structure which is known as the connections, and they help in chemical exchange between the cells. Tight junction, adhering junction, and gap junction. Clear? You can see in this picture. I think this concept is clear. Next we will come to connective tissue. Connective tissue, you have been acquainted with this term of connective tissue from the very previous classes. You have been learning about this connective tissue. This we will know in details now. First, connective tissue, as this term indicates, the connective tissue consists or binds different tissues and organs together and supports them, and it also provides the structural framework to form the body. The characteristic feature of this connective tissue is that the component cells are loosely arranged and widely separated by the extracellular matrix. A connective tissue has two basic components. What are the two components? One is the matrix, another is the cells. Different types of connective tissues are found. First is the loose connective tissue, second is the dense connective tissue, third is the specialized connective tissue. This loose connective tissue again can be categorized into areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Dense connective tissue can be categorized into dense regular and dense irregular tissues, and specialized connective tissue can be categorized into cartilage, bone, and blood. Now we will discuss what do you mean by this loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue, the cells and fibers are very loosely arranged here in the matrix, and this loose connective tissue are of two types, areolar and other is the adipose. Areolar tissue, this is the most widely distributed connective tissue in the animal body. It is found where? Beneath the epithelia, visceral organs like stomach, trachea, etc., in the dermis of the skin and the walls of the blood vessel. And this areolar tissue contains three types of cells of the connective tissue: fibroblast, macrophages, and mast cells. What is the function of this areolar tissue? Areolar tissue is the true connective tissue that binds the organs and the tissues together. It helps in the tissue repair and provides elasticity, strength, and support to the organ where it is present. Next loose connective tissue is the adipose tissue, where it is present beneath the skin, around the kidneys, heart, beneath the eyeballs, and in the bone marrow. This tissue consists of adipocyte, macrophages, and fibroblast, along with the collagen and the elastin fiber. Okay, two types of adipocytes are present. One is the white, and another is the yellow adipocytes. Now, what is the function of this adipose tissue? Adipose tissue forms a heat insulating layer beneath the skin and prevents the heat loss from the body. It also acts as shock absorbing cushion around the vital organs, and this tissue synthesizes, stores, and metabolizes fat, and also helps in the formation of the blood corpuscles. Next, number 2 is the dense connective tissue. The cells and the fibers of this dense connective tissue are compactly arranged, and two types based on the orientation. One is the tendon, another is the ligament. Before that, we have to take the broader classification of the dense regular connective tissues and dense irregular connective tissue. The dense regular connective tissue, they show regular pattern of the fibers, and the collagen fibers are present in the rows between many parallel bundles of the fiber. The example here, tendon, ligament. And tendon, what is that? It is dense, very dense, strong fibrous and fibrous connective tissue which forms inextensible attachment of the skeletal muscles to the bones. And what is ligament? It is dense fibrous connective tissue that connects the bones at the joints and holds them in position. Basically, the tendons attach muscles to bone and ligaments attach one bone to another bone. Okay. And dense irregular connective tissue, they show irregular orientation of fibroblast and fibers, and it is present in the skin. Now, cartilage. What is cartilage? Cartilage is the very solid, semi-rigid and flexible connective tissue. It has two regions, perichondrium and matrix. Perichondrium is the very tough sheath covering the outer surface of the cartilage and is composed of white fibrous tissue. Blood vessels and cartilage, they form cells which are known as the chondroblast, and blood vessels and nerves are absent in this cartilage. So, an injury to the cartilage takes a long time to heal, and the matrix is composed of protein chondrin, which is secreted by the chondroblast. Four types of cartilages are there: hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, elastic cartilage, calcified cartilage. Next is the bone. What is bone? This is a very solid, rigid connective tissue, which is the hardest tissue of the body. Its matrix is heavily deposited with apatite salts of calcium and phosphorus. And when a bone is dried, what happens? The organic matter of the bone disintegrates and the inorganic matter is left behind. That type of bone is called dried bone. Okay, a mammalian bone has four regions: periosteum, matrix, endosteum, and the bone marrow. And the bone cells are known as osteocytes. And what is the function of the bone? Very easy. What is the function? The bone provides the structural framework to the body. It supports and protects the very softer tissues and organs. The limb bones, they have weight bearing capacity and they help in the process of locomotion and movement. And the blood cells are also produced in the bone marrow. This is the function of the bone. Next is blood. What is blood? It is a fluid connective tissue consisting of fluid matrix called plasma and formed elements called blood cells or hemocyte. It has various components. What are the basically two components? I said plasma and the formed elements. These formed elements can be classified into erythrocyte, leukocyte and thrombocyte. Okay. And this leukocyte again can be classified into granulocyte and agranulocyte. This granulocyte can be subclassified into eosinophil, basophil and neutrophil. Agranulocyte can be classified into lymphocyte and monocyte. Lymphocyte again can be classified into B lymphocyte and T lymphocytes. Okay, so one thing you have to know from here, what is plasma? It is a very pale yellow, slightly alkaline viscous fluid. 92% of it is water and the remaining 8% include the solid. And plasma protein are also present, and the formed elements of the blood, that the erythrocytes, are the red blood corpuscles, leukocytes are the white blood corpuscles, and apart from that the thrombocytes or the platelets are also present. And lymph, it is when the blood is flowing with pressure in the arteries, a clear fluid seeps out into the tissue spaces, and this form the interstitial fluid. Okay, and the part of the interstitial fluid which enters the lymph channels and vessels is called lymph. The fat synthesized by the interstitial cell, they enter the circulatory process through the lymph. Clear? Next we will come to muscle tissue. Muscles. Muscles, you all know, they are helping in the contraction and relaxation. Okay, and this muscle tissue, what is muscle tissue? First you have to know the muscle tissues. The cells of the muscle tissue are called monocytes or the muscle fiber. Why? Because the muscle cells are elongated and fiber-like. These muscle cells show two important properties. First is the contractility. Second is the excitability. What is contractility? The ability to shorten forcefully and come back to its normal state is known as contractility. What is excitability? That is, it can be stimulated as there exists a potential difference across the membrane. And the blood capillaries of this connective tissue, they supply oxygen and the nutrients to the muscle. The plasma membrane of a muscle cell is called sarcolemma, and its cytoplasm is known as the sarcoplasm. These muscles take part in the locomotion and movement. They help in contraction and relaxation. Now, what are the types of muscles? First is the skeletal muscle or voluntary striated muscle. Second is the smooth, non-striated or visceral muscle. Third is the cardiac muscle. So, we will discuss in details now about each type of muscle. The striated muscles fibers, they show prominent alternate light and dark bands or which are known as the striations along the length. So, they are known as striated muscle. Since they are attached to the bones, they are also called the skeletal muscles. And these muscles can be moved according to our will, and so these are also known as the voluntary muscles. You can see the diagram of the striated or the skeletal muscles. Next is the smooth or non-striated muscles. These cells are very long, narrow and spindle shaped. You can see in the picture with a length of about 0.2 millimeter. And there is single large oval nucleus in the middle of the cell. The striations are absent, hence smooth muscles are also known as unstriated muscles. And these muscles cannot be moved at our will, so they are known as involuntary muscles. Where it is found? It is found in the wall of the internal organs such as the blood vessels, stomach and intestine. Next is the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscles are the muscles found exclusively in the wall of the heart only. And these muscle fibers are very short, cylindrical, branched and jointed end to end to form rows. The fibers are uninucleate and the nucleus lies in the center. Striations are present, but they are very much fainter or very much lighter than the skeletal muscles. The unique feature of this type of cardiac muscle is the presence of junctional complexes called intercalated disc, where the adjacent fibers meet end to end. Okay, that is allowing the cells to contract as a unit. When one cell is receiving a signal to contract, the adjacent or the corresponding or the next cell is getting the signal to contract. So it is also getting contract. This is a unique feature of the cardiac muscles which is present only in the heart. Next is the neural tissue, or we can also say as the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue consists of nerve cells or neurons and the neuroglial cells. Neurons, what are the neurons? These are the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. The nerve cells, they have a property of excitability and conductivity, and the potential change is also propagated due to the potential difference created across the membrane, and as a result a wavelength is produced along the length of the neuron. This is known as the nerve impulse. The neuron, it consists of cell body and one or more fine protoplasmic projections. One among them conducts the impulse away from the cell body is called action, while the other which conduct the impulse to the cell body is known as the dendron. You can see the picture of a neuron and you have to also draw and label the structure of the neuron. Okay, now the cells, the cells combine up together to form the tissues, and these tissues combine up to form the organs, and these organs combine up to form the organ system. Okay, so these entire organ system, all this type of cells or the types of tissues which we have discussed, help in the proper movement or the proper mechanism or the proper condition, helps to maintain the proper condition of an organism. Okay, this is all about the chapter. Read thoroughly till this much today. Thank you.